preview now. Mute that. Hi, James. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well. I believe we are live. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat window in just a minute to see if anyone starts to chat. But I'm also going to have to mute a few things here so I don't hear myself talking. There we go. I believe we are there. Okay. I think we're in good shape now. All right, so we should have some people joining us here. It looks like we've got a few viewers. I'm just going to give it another
Okay.
minute or so before we get started. I'm excited today. We're going to be talking to James Rodgers. James, you are the creator of the music video Christmas Eve by Blackmore's Night. I know you also collaborated with some people, and you'll be talking about that as well
hmm
today. And you are the creative designer at SFO Design, creative director and designer at SFO Design.
That's right. Yeah.
Uh, James, welcome to this live stream. This is the first live stream that the Bill Talks AI newsletter is doing.
Cool.
Hopefully, we can do more. And I really appreciate you going on this journey with me.
Yeah. I'm happy to do it. It's fun.
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
glad you're doing it.
Yeah, I am excited. So let's go ahead and get started. It's 10:03. We might as well
So we got
start.
somebody watching right now, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So I don't know, Dev, had they seen the video then or no? They haven't seen the video?
I have
Maybe.
shared the video.
Okay.
If you want to share a little bit of the video, please go right ahead. And just as a reminder, for anyone that's on this stream, we're not allowed to play audio due to YouTube restrictions. So you're just going to see maybe a preview of the video only. But in the chat window, there is a link to the video.
So, I'm set up here. I have this is a PowerPoint presentation. So I'm just going to go through that and talk about it. And at the end, I have the video and we can look through it. But I have a lot of other things that I can show that how we made this thing. So this video for Blackmore's Night they're a folk rock band. One of the guys' name is Ritchie Blackmore, who was a famous guitarist, founded a band called Deep Purple back in the 70s. And this is his new band that he has with his wife, Candace Knight. So the song Christmas Eve has a few different versions. And there's some long versions. They do some slow versions. They do some acoustical type versions. So I think they've made a few videos using this song. Um, but back in 2023, when we did this, they wanted something new. So, I had been experimenting with generative AI apps for just only a few months, probably. This is probably back in July of 2023. This is when I first heard about this project. So my background has been in television design and animation for years. And, I was eager when I was playing with these apps, I was really eager to try something with AI, using AI stuff. So an old colleague of mine named Jeffrey Pickett, who is also an experienced TV designer, we've worked on a lot of different projects together, and actually worked on other Blackmore's Night videos together, using traditional methods. He came to me and asked me if, we wanted to work on this one. And we had both been collaborating, using AI, these AI apps. So we thought that, let's see if we could do it in AI. So we approached the client, did some test animations, and they said, yeah, cool. So let's do it. So that's how this thing got started. So, traditionally with let's see, I'm not doing this. So traditionally, before you start a video, you get a script, right? But what we had was a song. So the song was the script for us. And so what first thing we did was we broke out the lyrics in the chorus into chunks. And this helped us, figure out what we were going to animate. We began writing prompts using ChatGPT and to help us come up with ideas for imagery and that we could apply to the song. So this is an example of some of the prompts, but like with that ChatGPT, if anybody's using it, you know that you go through several times taking out different pieces, taking out a little piece, and then expanding on that, and expanding on that. Well, eventually we got to a script that we thought was pretty good, and you can see here we put it into a script form, and we have you know on the video side we have what describes what we're planning on animating through the musical intro here. Then we cut to inside the Santa to show him preparing for his journey with elves bustling around, blah blah blah. They do a dissolve. Then these are the lyrics: "Say goodbye to November. She must be on her way." So that's how we figured that all the way through, and came up with visuals, ideas that we will eventually use as prompts for Midjourney, is one of the apps that I like to work on for creating imagery. And so in Midjourney,
Actually, can I ask you a question before we continue?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very curious with the prompts that you created.
Mhm.
So when did you decide to, how did you break it out? Did you kind of just look for some natural stopping and starting points there? Or did you ask the AI to kind of figure that out for you?
Oh, you mean in this part here?
Yes. Mm.
So we put the whole song in, we put the whole song in first, and it came us ideas. You can see the video begins with the Starry Night Christmas. It gave us these type of ideas from the beginning.
Hmm.
Then what we did is we go in and take "Say Goodbye to November, She Must Be on Your Way" at that point, and we'd ask it to break out other ideas.
Mm.
So on this wide shot of a European city by the village by the mountains, we might have got 10 or 15 different ideas for that, and just decided to pick one of them out. So that's how it's a process that we went through. And we're also using our own aesthetics too and ideas, but AI is helping us kind of get there. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I just
Yeah.
think it's interesting. It actually helps you break everything out, and then you were able to kind of creatively find the right marks
that we
for.
that mhm. Yeah, and then then we're making decisions on the fly as we're animating too, to change it too. As we start coming up with looking at imagery, we decide, that's working better, let's try to apply that to this scene here.
Mm,
So
mhm.
it's constantly changing the whole time. uh like I said, I'll show you some of the storyboards that we actually did eventually. And even from those storyboards that were approved by the client, we still made changes. But so this is Midjourney, and these are the kind of some of the images that we started exploring. We came up with a lot of different types of styles, and this was a couple of the styles that I really wanted to push for, which weren't able to do. But I thought these were more interesting, and I have a test animation I could show you of a couple of these. Um, but the client wanted something more traditional and more like Charles Dickens, so we ended up doing this. So this style became the style of the video that we were shooting for, and it was sort of mixed with Whoville, something like that, and Dickens. You can see there's a little bending and a little. We wanted to do something kind of crazy and weird, and the band usually likes that. But it ended up being pretty straightforward, kind of Dickens style. So this is some of the, you know, so after we came up with that style, then we started trying to do different characters. And these are some of the characters that we came up with. You know, you can see the bottom right one here is one that was actually used in the video, and some of the other ones got pulled because during the process, when we were using some of these elves that were weird looking, the client actually asked if we could do more animals. So we ended up doing.
Mm.
We replaced a lot of the elves with animals. So these are some more of the styles that we came up with in Midjourney. So these are the storyboards that we did, and so in order to get the final sign off before the beginning of the production and the animation, we created storyboards for all the scenes, and these storyboards basically are the blueprint for creating all of the scenes. Though in production we did make changes, you know, and as we showed to the client, went through a lot of changes. So we took, you know, the song and put it into, you know, just that in place of the script copy, and then we described an action, and we provided a thumbnail or an image for the client to look at, and we did that for every scene um, throughout the video.
Now, when you created that, so we started in ChatGPT taking the words for the song lyrics to
Mhm.
ChatGPT and created this generalized script, if you will, this sort of process for getting laying out how you would, maybe add the storyboard, the videos.
Right.
And then it ultimately turns into this video. Now, just I know you're going to get to it, but why were you using Midjourney and not DALL-E? And Midjourney, at least at the time you did this, does not create video. So I'm
Right.
curious, what was the thought process there?
Yeah, so well, I've tried Dolly and I've tried other apps, and Midjourney is the one that both Jeff and I just I think it's still I think Midjourney is still the best app for generating imagery. For starting, you know, so then you could take that imagery and put it into another one like Runway, or we use Kyber on this project, but you could take it and put it in Runway or Sora or something as a reference. Yeah, so Midjourney is just a better app. I mean, I it's for me this the styling that you can get, the coloring that you can get, the lighting that you can get out of Midjourney, just I prefer it, you know. I'm just really fast at the app and fast at the interface, so it makes it easy. But back then, you know, we tried a lot of them, and Midjourney was just the one that we stuck with.
Can
Um,
you give a sense for how long it took to go through that process of creating the storyboard and getting these images right for the final storyboard that you're showing right now? Like, what
yeah.
was the timeline for that?
It was between the two of us working on it, not completely full time. It was about 2 weeks
Oh,
to
wow.
get to this point. Yeah,
Hmm.
and and that was probably not, you know, not a full weeks, you know, but for to the two of us about 2 weeks to get to this point. And then once we got it to the client, it probably took another 2 weeks of changes going through it. I mean, time wise, and then the final production took about another week or so.
Nice.
So
Thank you.
yeah, so it's probably around 5 or 6 weeks, something like that, whole process. Um, so yeah, I'll go through the rest of these. So you can see we did it for every scene. And like I said, it changed. Some even from this one, some of these elf scenes here changed to more like this upper one here, where they started adding more animals like raccoons and foxes and deer and stuff. Um, So once we went through that and did all the storyboards and got approval, we needed to animate, and we pretty much knew that we wanted to use Kyber at that point. I think. I mean, we were still looking at Runway, which was new at the time, also, and we felt that the morphing flip card characteristic that they have on Kyber was more interesting, and it would hide some of our transitions better. So so that's what we ended up selling them on, and we did several tests. So here's like this is a test of that other style that I was pushing for that we didn't get to do, but whoops, it just has audio. Let me turn that down. Um, but I thought this was more imaginative and more original, you know, to do something that would to do something like that. But we ended up doing, you know, stuff more like this. So these are a couple of the different styles, and we
So when
worked on these for a while. Hmm?
Yeah, so when you're saying morphing, what you're saying is that you've got these images you created in Midjourney, and then Kyber takes those and converts them into videos based on a prompt,
Hmm.
but then also can go after you've maybe created a few of those images with the videos, it'll merge them together and kind of make them seamlessly go from one scene to another. Is that what you're referring to when you
Well,
say?
actually, in Kyber, we made individual clips that were only. I mean, you can do that in Kyber. You can make a video that's
Hmm.
5 minutes long if you want, 4 minutes long, and we actually did that. We tried that, but we ended up doing individual scenes, like clips that were more like just this long here,
Hmm.
and they may be like 5 or 10 seconds long, and you can see how they're still kind of morphing. You see how the transition morphs. It's not smooth. It things change, like the mountains. See how the mountains are there up on the right here, and then they just dissolve away. They turn away, and they kind of become clouds, and more moons happen, and then the city appears. It just changes, throughout the clip. So we took a lot of these clips, about 80 of them or so, and we let's see if I can get out of this to the next. And so, we made all these different clips, and we ended up cutting them and dissolving them together. Some of them were just very quick dissolves, and that kind of hides the transitions a little bit, because everything's kind of moving and morphing. So
So
these
you're
are
using
examples.
some sort of video editing tool
We're
like
using
Adobe.
Premiere
Hmm.
and After Effects. So yeah, I'll show you. So what we ended up doing is we ended up cutting all these together in Premiere as a rough cut, putting it into After Effects, and then we added a layer of snowflakes over the top of it. And then we also added like an adjustment layer on top, and we tried to correct the color to make them all kind of consistent feel, in tone, contrast. Um, and this was the final video. And like, so you can see this, the opening scene here. Some of these snowflakes, these big ones here, this is a snowflake layer that we added to several of the scenes, just to kind of tie things together.
Ah, so that's cool. So so unbeknownst to maybe the viewer, there's there's snowflakes animated over all of this that you added to give
Yeah,
that extra sense of realism or at least more movement, huh?
it's sort of tied things together. Like you
Hmm.
can see, like this scene here, and then she's got the big snowflakes over the top of her. I mean, she had some snowflakes in there already, but they just, it adds a consistency over top. Now these are, so you can see, like here we've got the big snowflakes dissolving over the top of this little girl and this woman, and then we dissolve them out for this one, because these are all in the scene. We didn't add any snowflakes here, and then here we didn't add any, or maybe we did. And then some of these scenes have snowflakes over it. There's one scene here, right here. This scene here, this is actually a stock piece of animation we used on a previous video that is not generated in AI, but we put it into Kyber, and we had Kyber create like the style for us,
Hmm.
but the motion was from 3D animation system of some sort. And it was the only one that we did, was the reindeer one, because we just couldn't get it to work
Hmm.
otherwise.
Well, I'm curious. That leads me to what other challenges did you have when you were creating this video? Because I could imagine that reindeer one being difficult because here you're trying to not just have them go across the sky, which is your traditional images that maybe the AI has been trained on, but instead looking from the sleigh.
You're
Uh,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
Right, exactly. That's really a good point. That trying to get that sort of point of view was something we couldn't get, with AI, with the AI tool. So that's why we ended up using that. Um, but I mean, the challenges is keeping the style, kind of looking decent, looking similar in mid journey, you know. And there's the other shot there. And so it's a little messed up, but there's a lot of funky things that are happening in this that you don't see when it goes by fast. Some of the faces of the people, like this guy, watch this guy. He starts off okay, and he starts to get a little funky here, and we cut away before he gets turns into something weird. Like the faces on these kids, they're pretty weird looking, right? It's like when you slow it down. That's one of the things that the faces gets really screwed up in this. But when it goes by, you don't really notice it. People like I think this is the one where the woman turns into a man. You see right there?
Hmm.
You know, it's a lot of that going on. But anyway, it worked out. The clients were happy. The fans loved it. We got lots of great responses from it. It got tons of viewing on it. We had to make one change after it was launched. After about 2 or 3 days, had to make a change on it. So we made a little slight change to it, just a small change to it, and it had to be re-uploaded. So we missed out on all those other, all the original debut views. So, but
But even still, it has over 100,000 views now. Um,
yeah, it's probably 1 million views on this thing at
mm,
least, I think, because it was a lot at the beginning.
nice. So, can you just share, from the beginning of when you were asked to work on this video to finally releasing it and publishing it, what did that timeline look like?
Oh, probably a couple of months, at least, more than that, probably. Maybe, yeah, yeah, maybe 10 weeks or so.
Mm,
Yeah, we started, it went pretty fast, actually. That's pretty fast. The client knows us, so not that they used us for everything, but they know us and or they know Jeffrey really well, and so they were just pretty confident, I think, in process that we would come up with something. So it was given to us pretty quickly. Jeff and I spent a lot of time, like on all bunch of different apps trying to figure out what we were going to use, what imagery we were going to use and how we were going to animate. And a lot of testing went on before we really approached the client with the idea of using AI. Otherwise it would have been using traditional methods, which would have cost 10 times more at least, you know. So that was the big selling point, really, was the cost, I think. Um, that we could get it done so inexpensively for them.
given everything that you did in order to produce this video, is there any good lessons learned that you might be able to share with our audience?
Well, I don't know. Uh, don't do it. Don't start from the um, no. Well, I think planning is really important. That's the main thing is planning your design and and getting a good foundation is really important to know where you're going to go with it. I know a lot of people sometimes just start in and just try to make things up as they go. And we really we spent a lot of time just figuring it out, planning exactly what we were going to do. And then it just became like a matter of just rendering prompts, picking the best one, sticking it in, rendering, sticking it in, you know. And yeah, for like a couple of weeks, we were just we knew what we were going to do. So I'd say planning is probably the best thing that you. It's not something that we learned just necessarily in this project, but with AI, just like any other tool you're using, having a little plan is a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think what was interesting with this one is when you watch these videos and you see, like you said, a woman turns into a man and, these different animals will disappear or clouds or mountains
Yeah.
will disappear and turn into clouds. These are things that you didn't necessarily ask it to do, it just did it. I guess we
Yeah.
could call those hallucinations, and it seems like you
Yeah.
use them to your own benefit in this
Absolutely.
video.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that's one of the things we liked about Kyber because we like I said, we wanted to do some of the other videos that they've done are a little bit strange, and we wanted to do something a little bit more interesting and not so, you know, typical. And so Kyber kind of helped us do that a little bit because it there's a lot of things happening in there if you look at it a lot of times.
Mhm.
And but what we had to do a lot of is you have to render the clips a little longer than you need because you're going to just pull out a little piece that works, you know, because much of the many of the clips go off into some you know, weird thing, So yeah, I mean, I could go back, and show if I would have thought I could have gone back and showed all the outtakes, you know, that of the clips of how terrible they are, Um, and you just pick out you just like this one for instance, like these kids. It's a pretty short clip. If you kept going on this clip, these kids' faces turn into like monsters, things that happen, like you see how you go through the window there, it just kind of disappears. It's inside the house kind of now, you
hmm
know, and then it goes away. Now you're in kind of another house. A lot of weird stuff happening with Kyber. Kyber is a really cool tool. I've been using it for a lot of different things, but we tried, like I said, we tried using Runway on this, and I'd have some clips that were pretty cool on Runway, but we just couldn't control it, as well at the time.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
how about uh I know it just came out, but what about Sora? Have you been playing with that? Do you think that might be an opportunity for some new future video that you generate?
Well, I'm working on a couple of videos right now with using Sora. Uh, um, I'm using Runway primarily, but I'm actually substituting some scenes with Sora, and so I'm playing around with Sora. One of the problems I'm having with Sora that is I'm not I it's brand new. I'm not really complete expert on everything that's going on with it, but it won't allow me to use prompts or imagery that has a person in it. It won't it stops me from using it. I'm not really sure how you avoid that without paying $200 a month. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
So that's what's one of the things that I came into. It's actually kind of expensive to use Sora. Um, you've got two plans. You got $20 a month that gives you 50 videos at 480p. If you go higher than that, you get less videos, at like 720. And if you go to 1080, you get even less. So if you're trying to do 1080 videos on Sora, it would get pretty expensive. I mean, maybe like $40 a clip. It's kind of high. And then the 200, and then your other option is $200 a month. So I've been playing around with it, and it's some pretty realistic looking images on it. It's but just like all the apps, you get some really weird stuff that happens, just something pops up or something comes out of someone's face for some reason, and so it's still not there yet, but it feels, they have a thing on Sora it's called Storyboard, which is pretty cool, where you can create a timeline and you can put in different prompts at different seconds, on the timeline, and the scene will change. Like you could have an animal walk up to something and then tell it to take a drink, and it'll take a drink, and then or something like that. And so that is really interesting, I think. Kyber is similar to that in a way too. Kyber has storyboard with it too, where you can change the prompt. You can do it 4 times on a clip. You can change the prompt in the timeline. But so that one with Sora was really cool though, because that almost feels like you could create a whole film, you
Mm,
know, directing it, and then you can go back and change it, and you can remix it. So, we'll see
that's
where it all
very cool.
goes. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're still in the early days of video generation. I feel like text generation and image generation seems to be moving at a pace faster than we can even think. But then the video seems to, even though a lot's happening in that space, we're not seeing a whole lot of new the future is here models yet, huh?
I don't know. I dream about it, I can imagine it, but it's not there yet for sure. You know, there's a lot of issues, then there's the copyright issues and things like that that people are still concerned about, the big models, where they're getting their information and how they're, you know, the ownership of that information. And even though, I don't know, yeah, even though that's a big issue, is copyright still for like the studios. I think what the biggest use of right now, like in some of the studios, is they're using it for ideation, you know, using it to create storyboards and ideation, and then creating it in traditional methods, you know.
Mhm.
So, which
Yeah,
is great,
and
yeah, great way to do it.
I'm definitely seeing a lot of the AI videos in B-rolls in videos too.
Hmm.
You're just sort of trying to describe something and you want to keep the action moving rather than just seeing a talking
Hmm.
head. And there'll be some sort of a quick little animation that you see.
Yeah,
It'll be colorful and bright
yeah.
and things happening, but it was probably generated with one of these tools
Mhm.
and then they pop back to the person again. You definitely uh, bit off a lot here with creating this full music video, and we're able to do that. But it sounds like you needed to use a lot of your knowledge that you've already learned on how to kind of keep these AI tools focused on the look and feel and vibe and style that you're looking for, but
Right.
also using traditional methods to finally put it all together and produce it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not the whole package, these apps are just doesn't do it all. It's just another tool to help you get to an idea that you want to create, So, um yeah, I mean, it's just really so fun, And like I said, the cost of doing this to do this one scene, would cost a lot in traditional, if you were painting that, or even in 3D, it'd be expensive to do, So the cost is a big factor, in creating this stuff. If once it gets to a really good point, But I guess, one of the things, you've seen the Coca-Cola commercial. People have probably seen that Coca-Cola commercial that did that, and it got a lot of pushback from a lot of people, I thought, and critics. But you know, they it was pretty nicely done, and I also can see a lot of things in there that was done traditionally. They're adding this and that to it, and in post, but it worked pretty well, and the idea that you can do that with these apps is pretty amazing, you know.
Yeah.
But you can create that kind of stuff with these apps. But it's still time consuming, but it's not as time consuming,
Mhm.
you know.
James, I
Yeah.
want to thank you so much for doing this live session with me today. I really appreciate your time. This has been fascinating. It was incredible to just see you kind of take this right from the original music lyrics and then ultimately creating this final video. And of course, the link is up there on the screen right now, but I've also put that into the chat as well. So if you want to go see what the final video looks like, I recommend you do it. And, Christmas Eve, where 'tis the season, so you can
Just
go ahead and,
perfect timing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and watch the video. Um, thank you so much for your time, James. I will go ahead and put a way to contact James into the description here for this video. So if you want to reach out, I think I'll just put your LinkedIn up. Is that okay, James?
Sure.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, James. Have
Hey,
a great
thanks,
day.
Bill. It's nice seeing you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Okay. Take care.
you too.